Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue Go Volcanic. So this is a Dana-centered episode. Dana was the Pink Ranger in Lightspeed Rescue, and she was a paramedic and the daughter of Captain Mitchell. I remember when Lightspeed Rescue, the trailer came out, I was so excited for it. Because just the way it opened and what it said is all like, the Rangers are back on Earth. I'm like, what? They're not in space no more. So here I am thinking the Lost Galaxy people are going to be the Lightspeed Rescue Rangers. And nope. It started the whole interchangeable cast type thing. And so, I was very disappointed and sad because I had grew to love like the Lost I can't talk Lost Galaxy Rangers. But when this series came out, I was like, oh wow, this looks pretty like cool and everything. A new setting, an underwater base. That is still one of the most impressive like Ranger headquarters I've ever seen. That's one of the most inventive right there. And so but one of the weird things about this series was that the Ranger powers, the humans built them. I was like, what? And everything was so mechanical and everything. They had to automatically they had to mechanically assemble their weapons, their Zords, and I'm just kind of like, man, this is weird. And it's just kind of like, this is kind of neat. All these like alien, mystical, and all this other stuff, cosmic type like Ranger powers, and here's some like man-made stuff. But then when you really stop and think about it, a lot of Ranger powers are man-made. I mean, look at Turbo; those were man-made, but you never really thought about that because that was the Zordon era. Then also look at in space; those were alien man-made and stuff. So. And even Ninja made like the coins, but those were more like magical, mystical dinosaurs and stuff like that. But this series is very unique and I really love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. I love the suits, I love the morphers, I like the cast. And you know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, technically I love the cast. I don't want to make it sound that bad. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. And we had our very first like American-made Ranger in the Titanium Ranger. Man, when is Hasbro ever gonna make some Lightspeed rescue merch? I want the Titanium Ranger so bad. I also want Kelsey and everything. I just like that Yellow Ranger. But Carter, is one of my favorite Red Rangers. That man always had dominance to his voice, like a militant leader, which was interesting because he was a firefighter. Anyways, this episode is very special because Dana has to take care of a situation without her powers. I don't know why she didn't use her powers, but like the situation in hand was a robber, a armed robber and everything. And this was very unusual. This was the second time they ever depicted anybody using a real life looking gun in Power Rangers, to the point where this episode got banned in some UK countries. The third instance was not really so much an instance. It's the fifth crystal one when there's like a gun on the holster and everything. Very shocking to see in Power Rangers indeed, but this is because of the Sentai and everything. This story is based on the Sentai. And so like Queen Ventura and everything, she has, sent the monster or Diabolical and all of them sent like a monster to mess around with the volcano. I gotta give it up, man. These monster designs for the demons like Diabolico and all those people, man, they look so great. And not only that, but the voice cast is amazing. That's one thing I really love about Power Rangers when it comes to their monsters. They almost always nail the voice cast like perfectly. These people sound like, like how they supposed to look, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I miss so many of the American voice actors now that I went over in New Zealand. A lot of the New Zealand voices are great, but too many of them sound the same. And it's like, it's getting on my nerves and everything. It's like, sometimes in the American one, you'll hear like the same voice once in a blue moon for a different series. But in the like a New Zealand one, you always hear the same voices over and over and over again. And and it's just, I wish they'll get like a new voice cast over there or something, man. And so, like, for whatever bizarre reason, Dana has to go survey the volcano. I'm not sure why, because she's a paramedic. It would have made more sense if Miss Mayweather would have went. But anyway, as Dana, she goes, and she doesn't have the rescue rover, so she has to take the bus. And talking about it would be an adventure. What the? I've rode the bus a few times before. It is not an adventure. All right. Everybody always looks like they're sick on a bus. And so, it is not an adventure. All right. Then having to get off someplace and having to walk to where you have to go, it's not an adventure. And stuff. But anyway, she's going up to a volcano, and the volcano has like snow on it and stuff. And so like the monster has to do something with the volcano, and so like when she's riding the bus, there's this one Asian dude there, and she sees that he has a bag full of money. And so, like, he's like some type of like, I don't know if he's a bank robber or what. But anyway, at some point, he takes the bus hostage. And it causes a lot of commotion. And then, of course, he whips out his weapon and stuff. And he's really rude. He's like assaulting the bus driver. This old woman kind of like, she's going to give him what and everything. He assaults her by throwing her on the floor. And so at some point in time, him and Dana get into it because the volcano is causing tremors and stuff. And so like she's fighting hand to hand with like, the robber. And so like the bus is kind of like out of control and everything. And all I could think about is, why didn't she morph? And not only that, but people should know she's a Power Ranger because of her uniform jacket. Because in this series, everybody knows who Power Rangers are. And they wear their morphers 24/7. Well, the tremors are so bad that it causes the bus to go over a bridge. This was really intense. And it was like the way they choreographed it with the Sentai footage and the American footage, it was really scary and everything. And I was just like, oh my God, man, they're gonna fall. Like, where the world is the Megazord at? Back in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that Megazord with like, Bulk and Skull got on that bus, and they was like, trapped or whatever. The Megazord literally just picked them up. So the Rangers are heading out there as fast as they can, and they have to go by train. Boy, this was such a unique series, I'm telling you. They couldn't just teleport nowhere. And so, like, the robber is dangling from the bus, like the outside the door, and he's literally about to fall. And Dana decides, since she's a hero, doing what a hero does best, she is going to save him. So she grabs onto his arm and she tries to pull him up, but she is not strong enough. But she ain't gonna give up. She refused to let this dude fall, and he's a criminal of all people. You know what I'm saying? But to her, all life matters. That's the point of being a paramedic. You take the Hippocratic Oath and everything. And I still don't understand why she just didn't morph. I mean, she would have had more strength to pick him up, or those little ropes that they have to pull him up and stuff. And so then next thing you know, the bus driver and the old woman, they help. Now, they're both old. So they ain't like they're going to be able to do much. And they're the only ones trying to help. It's only the people that he assaulted. This is really something to see in a kid's show, because anybody else would have just let him fall and everything. Plus, he's extra weight dangling on the bus, and anybody else would have just let him fall because he's a criminal and stuff. But the three of them are able to pull him up. They have to get some of the other people to go on the back of the bus to tilt it and everything. Now, with three of them on, like, four of them dangling on the other part, I'm surprised it just didn't tilt over. And so when they get him to safety, here comes Joel in his copter type Zord. And you know what? The Sentai special effects look amazing on this. They're so outdated, about 25 years outdated, but they still look a heck of a lot better than a lot of that CGI crap that they're doing today in new Power Rangers series. The special effects on the practical Zord actually looks amazing. And how the cables go down and pick the thing up. Lightspeed Rescue really was ahead of its time when it came to like special effects and storytelling and stuff like that. Because I remember seeing a special with the American Rangers talking about how, you know, we got some like amazing special effect. They weren't talking about the Sentai, although the Sentai stuff was amazing as well. The only problem with the Sentai is it never had no weight whenever they used their special effects. But like, well, a lot of the American stuff, I was like, man, this is some cutting edge like VFX they had and stuff. And so like, when he gets them to safety and everything, the other Rangers, they boarded and everything, and they need somebody to drive the bus on out of there. And the bus driver can't because he hurt his arm. Now this is the part that's an error. When he's talking about how he hurt his arm, and you know, like he asked, you know, if anybody know how to drive a bus, and the criminal dudes are like, oh, I know how to drive a bus. And so like dudes are like, you ain't drive my bus. You tried to hurt us and stuff. His arm is already in a slink before he reveals his arm is messed up. This is such an error. Somebody should like corrected that. So in a way, they give him a chance because now all of a sudden he has seen the error of his ways. In my opinion, he kind of redeemed himself a little too quickly, but I do get the idea of, you know, he hurt these three people, and those three people were the only people who tried to save his life. So he felt he had to repay them. So Dana and the rest of the Rangers, they leave. He drives the bus. There's some volcano like boulders on fire that hit like the ground. He's dodging them and everything. He gets them to safety. And so like, you know, the Rangers, like they're running, and then we get to see a great like in time morph with Dana. And I mean, it's so perfect. It's perfect. That's all I gotta say. Like, it's just perfect. That real time morph. Oh my god, when she was running, it's a lot harder to do VFX and stuff when things are moving. It looks like fantastic and everything. And for some reason, she's carrying like this book bag type thing. It ain't the book bag full of money because they let him keep that along with the gun and everything else. I'm just like, you ain't gonna take that. And so like, she has to scan something on the volcano. Still don't know how she knows how to do that, because on this Ranger team there is no smart one. The only smart one is Miss Mayweather and stuff. So out comes the monster, and they have to fight him. And now I know why she's wearing a book bag. The Sentai person's wearing a book bag. So it's her and Carter. They use their like special design weapons. And I remember seeing these weapons thinking, this is what they have to fight with. And it's just like the weirdest thing. And it's just like, man, it's so practical looking and stuff, and like so low key from what other Rangers normally use. And so then they call on a dual laser, and then they blast his behind. And I'm not sure if they go into Megazord or not. I think in this other episode I want to talk about they do. If they do go into Megazord, the Megazord does fight in a very unusual kind of way. I think they do. Yeah, they do fight in the Megazord, because I remember this being a Dana episode and he called on the Saber. And so it has like these ladders on the ground, and then it like does this weird kick thing. And all I could think is, even though it looks cool, a monster could so dodge that. And then they call on this sword, and I love like the nanotech that makes the sword come out and everything. And so they get rid of him, and then they go back to the dude who's like the robber, and the cops show up. And he actually says something very important that was really touching. He's all like, he saw the error of his ways, and he's gonna like, he's willing to take his punishment and everything. But Dana didn't want him to walk out like a perp with handcuffs. So the cops just escort him and everything. And it's too bad a lot of criminals don't change their ways and stuff. They could really benefit from society if they could help society benefit and everything, because they do have skills, but they tend to use their skills for like bad things. But this was probably one of the most unusual Power Rangers episodes ever, and one of the most realistic ones of all time, because it dealt not with, well, they did fight a monster, but not only is the bad guy like a monster, but it's another bad guy who's an actual human and everything. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.